Okay, I think I'm actually filming. It's amazing how many of my videos actually start like that. Anyway, hello all you folks out there in YouTube land, Thrash Pondo here. And I, of course, am doing my traditional Sunday Night Live chat. I'm doing it solo this weekend. I'm going to take the opportunity, by the way, to thank all my viewers who've lost someone in the military over the years. I want to thank all of them for their service. And if you've had people who serve who are still with us, be sure to thank them as well. And again, to any of our members who've actually served. I know Darrell, I haven't seen in ages, but Darrell, if you still watch in absentia, thank you for your service, young man. Rachel Latoué is here and says, "Hi, it's me, and good to see ye." And Gary Carpenter's here, and he says, "Hi there, everyone. I'm back." You certainly are. You certainly are. And Zuplix is here, and he says hello, and an hola to you too, mi amigo. And oh, Gary says his father did. Well, I want to thank you very much on behalf of all of us for his service. What branch, might I ask? Um, my father was actually very briefly in the Air Force, but because of an earlier injury, he was unfit for military service and ended up leaving. But oh, Gary says Army. You know my uncle Jeff, who I've talked about at great length, was actually a tunnel rat during the Vietnam conflict. Never spoke of it. Never ever spoke of it, and we didn't ask. He didn't want to talk about such things, but he was a great uncle, and he is sorely missed to this day. And Gary says he was stationed in Hawaii during the 60s. Better than some places you could be stationed, that's for darn sure. Dan, the breaking news man, is here and says happy Memorial Day weekend. Dan, thank you very much for your sentiment. And welcome to the party. Yeah, I'm still a few minutes early, by the way, which is probably why. Oh, my recording passed on? Oh, that's a bummer. You know who was a very old friend of hers was, of course, Clint Eastwood. Um, Apparently, Mara Corday actually got him his first talking role on screen. It was in Earth versus the Spider. He played a fighter pilot, speaking of the Air Forces. Zerblick says, "Wasn't your stepfather who was in the military?" Um, Oh, no. Oh, I know who you're talking about. Mama Thrash was engaged for a time to an ex-army colonel who served in both Korea and in Vietnam. And in the spirit of the day, thank you for your service, Colonel. He's the one who I talk about. He For you Walking Dead fans out there, or even for Grey's Anatomy fans out there, he's the one who looked like the guy who played Negan, um, Dennis something or other. Name eludes me for the moment, but he is the spitting image of Negan. Even the way he smiles sometimes, and just kind of the way he drawled it. It actually, there was a time when I was, it was like, yeah. Bit more on the plump side, but Jeffrey Dean Morgan is the actor's name. He has a new show coming on now where they fly you to some undisclosed location and you have to put together through clues where you are. And Dan, definitely rest in peace, George Wendt. In fact, tonight's trivia is going to be on Cheers. It's going to be on Cheers, but more than half the questions, or about half the questions at least, are going to be on George Wendt himself. So some of them may not have anything to do with Cheers, but since he was an integral part of Cheers, it counts. Gary says she was 95. Eastwood is 94. Dan says Norm. Most definitely Norm. I had a friend in college who we used to say called Norm every time he walked in. Sublik says, but you hated him. Um, In the spirit of the day, by the way, I'm going to stick solely to his military service, which was impressive. You don't become a lieutenant colonel by being a non good military officer. And he did serve in both Korea and Vietnam. So I'm going to set aside personal issues with the man and just say, um, thank you for your service. The entertainment headquarters is here and says hello, Thrash. Hello to you too, Kevin. If I have any blue wrenches, please drop a link for Kevin. And remember, next Saturday is going to be the chat on don't tell me. The 30th is going to be on yes, of course, Bermuda Depths, my favorite made-for-TV movie of all time, Bermuda Depth. And of course, Gary, rest in peace, Bruce Buzzy. Entertainment headquarters says, "Hope you are well." I am very well. Thank you for asking. I hope you're feeling better too, my lad. Gary says, "I know that, but she'll be missed." She certainly will. She certainly will. Rachel scores 0 out of 15. Geek Culture is here, by the way. Says, "Hey there, Geek Culture. Welcome to the party." Thank you. And Rachel says, "Never watched Cheers." Well, you might know some of the George Wendt questions that don't pertain. And Chance is here for the Nostalgic Pod Blast. Says, "Hey, all. After Thrash, I am having an 8-episode mini marathon of Alice on my channel starting at 7:30. The Thanksgiving 1978 episode uncut episodes. Won't be able to make it myself, actually. I have plans with Mrs. Thrash, but I caught the one you showed just the other night where Tommy hurt his foot in the mini bike accident. Oh, Mr. Wilkinson is here. Says, "Good evening, Bob. Please thank your father for his service, by the way." Good man. His father was Navy, I believe. Navy. And oh, John Doe is here, by the way. He says, "Let the battle royale begin." And Tug said you started early. Well, I was allowing for technical difficulties and I didn't have none, so I was able to go straight on. And yes, Kevin confirms it's Bermuda Depth. Yeah, John Doe, I loved that short you gave about the behind the scenes in the 80s slasher film shtick. That was a riot. I think it was called The Creep or something, but it was a riot. And Dan says, "I like acting like Cliff from Cheers with unneeded information like he would do." He really did steal the show. He really did. And again, he wasn't even intended to be a long-term cast member. He had to basically impromptu his whole shtick because he wanted to play Norm, but then they decided they needed to know it all in the show. And yes, he was also in one of my favorite war movies, A Bridge Too Far, although it took tremendous liberties with the actual story. But while we're on the subject, Chin, since you're doing war movies, by the way, what's everyone's favorite war movie, by the way? Be interesting to see. And Geek Culture says, "Don't think I've seen that one." Check it out if you can. I believe it can be streamed. It's really, really good. It's a well, if I tell you anything about it, I'll ruin it for you. But check it out. It's very good. It's shenanigans in the Bermuda Triangle involving a beautiful demonically possessed woman and a big killer sea turtle. There, I've said too much. As it says, "My cousin is a lieutenant colonel in the army. He arrived at that level because he's a male nurse." Oh, excellent. Thank him for his service. Thank you. And I think I just jumped, but yeah, here we go. I'm gonna skim down really quick. Lance Chapin is here. He says, "Hey Thrash, hey Lance, welcome to the party." Geek Culture says, "I've been watching Star Trek Voyager. Been really sick with the respiratory virus, so keep falling asleep. Oh, I hope you feel better, my brother. So sorry." John Doe says, "Norm was in House 2, the next story, which is better than part 1. I thought he was actually in both, actually. But he was also in Dreamscape with Christopher Plummer." And Gary says, "I had a cousin who was in the Navy and he was discharged from a couple for a couple of broken ankles." And entertainment headquarters, Kevin says, "I have a few special coming in the next few months. Love you to be a part of it." We'll chat on Facebook. I'll talk to you. I'll try to talk to you tomorrow. And if I can if there are ones I know anything about, which is a pretty good bet, I'd love to be a part of it. Thank you so much. Um John Doe says, or was that Cliff? I'm sure it probably was. Oh, and let's see here. A lot of people saying hello to one another. Gary says Patton. That's a great one. Paths of Glory. Oh, Zublex. You got to go with Kubrick. Paths of Glory. That one is one of my. I love the last scene of that. I love the last scene of that. But the whole thing is actually an absolutely amazing. I mean, and it's. I believe it's loosely based on a true story. Gary Carpenter says Green Berets. Tug says Bridge on the River Kwai. The horror, or whatever the madness, the madness, whatever. I can never remember the last line is. The horror is actually Apocalypse Now. I think it's madness takes its soul. Christopher says, I like Midway and The Great Escape. Midway is literally one of my favorites. I'm not entirely 100%. It is my total favorite, but it's probably my top three. And The Great Escape is phenomenal as well. They have there's a television release of Midway where they actually cover the Battle of the Coral Sea, and I wish they had left it in because it really fleshes the battle out. Greek culture says, does Stripes count as a war movie? LOL. You know what? Sure, it does. The Cold War was certainly a conflict. And the funny thing is, from what I understand, Stripes actually caused an increase in people volunteering for the army. Believe it or not, yes, it actually got recruitment went up after the movie Stripes came out. Kevin says Full Metal Jacket is one of my favorite war movies. Full Metal Jacket's an amazing flick. John Doe says Hamburger Hill, excellent one. It was written by the ones that survived Hamburger Hill. Excellent piece of info. Gary Carpenter says to Geek, that was my mom's favorite movie. Cindy D's here says, hi everyone. Hello, Cindy. Good to see you. Rachel says, to Pod Blessed, I will watch your marathon. Oh, that's so nice of you. And Cindy says hello to Lance, long time no chat. And John Doe says, my high school counselor best friend met his end at that hill. Oh, I'm very, very sorry. And Kevin says, I will send you a message tomorrow. Fantastic. And Zubik says, oh, Kubrick married a German singer. I did not know that. Rachel says, War of the Roses with Michael Douglas. And Geek Culture says, favorite true war movie is probably Full Metal Jacket or Black Hawk Down. Both good. From Here to Eternity. Oh my God. I love From Here to I was just watching bits of it on YouTube, like the bar scene where Burt Lancaster breaks up the fight. Oh, I love that movie. John Doe likes Platoon. Excellent. Mr. Wilkinson says, I like Between Heaven and Hell. Also, Toya, Toya, Toya. That's actually the pronunciation. I love Tora, and Midway make a phenomenal double feature. Between Heaven and Hell, is that the one with Buddy Ebsen? And Greek Culture says, Wind Talkers is a good film. It really is, despite Nick Cage being in it. Lance is missing in action 1, 2, and 3. And Cindy says, hello to Thrash. Good to be here. Yes, Cindy, again, it is phenomenal to have you with us. Welcome to the party. And Tug says, people were probably disappointed when they signed up and there was no topless mud wrestling. Probably. And Zubik says, how good were the mints, T-Pons? These are actually, these are my Bob Ross mints. I ran out of the mints ages ago. I saved the tin because I love the tin. And I'm glad you brought that up. This isn't a true story. In fact, this barely constitutes an urban legend. But it's right here on YouTube. There's a theory that it's quite possible that the gentleman in question may have been some type of, I don't even want to say without getting a serial unaliver. One of his paintings looks remarkably like a crime scene, and some people thought he may have painted the portrait as some type of Ooh, as some type of sick clue he was giving the world. I don't subscribe to it myself, but I gotta tell you, how tantalizing is that? Pearl Harbor, Black Hawk Down, The Maltese Falcon. Does that count as a war movie? It may have been taking place during a war. So yeah, we'll count it. We'll count it. Casablanca certainly does. Tug says, "Hi everyone, making dinner, so not chatting much. The fact that you're here is very, very nice." And Geek says there's a Japanese war film from I believe the 70s or 80s that was amazing, but I cannot recall the name. Oh, I'm racking my brains. Most of the Japanese war films I know of, or anti-war if you'd prefer, they couldn't make war films after the war, were from the 50s, like, Harp of Burma, Fire on the Plain, which were excellent. I don't recall any from the 70s. If anyone else knows, where's Indy when you need him, huh? And Zubik says, "Always save the tin." I did. And Lynn says, "Happy Little Breath." Was that the name of the film? I'm not sure. And Geek says, "Empire of the Sun," I think it was called. Oh! Oh, that was a Spielberg film, but Empire of the Sun is amazing. Um, Wilkinson says Buddy Ebsen was in Between Heaven and Hell. Yes, okay, that is the one. It's about the rich guy and he owns he owns like a sharecropping estate, and he's a real elitist, but then he goes to war and becomes a good person. Great film, absolutely great film. Harvey Lembeck is in it. Cindy says, "I love those old wartime songs. Sentimental Journey, Under the Apple Tree, Yankee Doodle Dandy. There's a good movie. I Yankee Doodle Dandy." And John Doe says, "Yes, I remember sending you that video." Yeah, it's a great one. Thank you. Gary says Yankee Doodle, Dandy, Stars and Stripes. Stars and Stripes. That was the one with Reagan, wasn't it? And or You're in the Army Now. We actually had Joe Lewis had a speaking part. Zublik says, "How dare you besmirch the image of Bob Ross?" I didn't say I believed it. I just said there is a theory and it's on YouTube. All I do is pass on another YouTube theory. And Gary Carpenter says, "Dirty Dozen, great film." Mr. Wilkins says, "Natalie Wood's husband was in Between Heaven and Hell too." Yes. Oh, Robert. He was in Heart to Heart. Robert something or other. But yes, he was. He's the star. And Frank Gorshin plays a lunatic uh, bodyguard of the base he gets assigned to. Godzilla Final Wars, I'll count it. Indy says, "I'm right here, Bob." Oh, Indy, welcome. So good to see you. While we're on the series, Indy, I got to ask you a question. I've asked you before and you didn't know. Please forgive me. I'm going to try it again. I've been racking my brain. Somehow, this movie set in the Napoleonic Wars popped into my brain. All I know, it's a black and white film, and Napoleon is lamenting having invaded Russia and having to stay the winter. And the big, big, big scene towards the end of the movie is as they're retreating, the army's going across a frozen river, and the enemy shells it, and ice cracks, and they all fall through the ice and drown, freeze, die, what have you. And I believe that's actually not from the Napoleonic Wars. I believe it's actually from it was a Prussian battle, the Battle of the Ice, where they fought in Poland, I want to say, in the 1200s. But if you know what it is, please enlighten. They actually also do it in King Arthur. But anyway, welcome to the party. And let's just see, a lot of people having fellowship. And John Doe says it's actually a few paintings he did, and he was a combat veteran. So who knows? Yeah, Air Force. Yes, he served in the Air Force. I believe he was an MP for a while. Thank you, John. And Greek culture just jumped off the page. I keep saying Greek culture for my college. It's geek culture. You want to see one that will mess with your head? The anime movie Graveyard of the Fireflies. Oh, the most depressing thing I've ever seen. I tell people I used to I used to manage a video store, and when they would buy it, I'd say, "Don't watch it unless you have a box of tissues and a bottle of scotch." It is so depressing. These two children are orphaned during the war and end up becoming homeless, and effectively they starve to death. And it is so sad and so depressing. And Robert Wagner, thank you, Superplex, and Stars and Stripes did have Reagan, and Len says Saving Private Ryan, and John Doe says, does the War of Cyberton count? Sure, why not? And Cindy says, Glory with Denzel Washington. Excellent. Civil War movie. Definitely, definitely. Lance also like Glory. Gary Carter says, Gone with the Wind. Definitely, definitely a war film. One of the best scenes of the entire movie is when all the wounded come into Atlanta and you see the small click, and then the camera just goes back and back and back. And you're seeing more and more and more. And then finally it pulls back so far, you see the steeple to the government building, and there's just that tattered Confederate flag waving, and it's just like, wow, they're beaten, they're done. And you know what? Not a moment too soon. Meh. I had a relative who served on our side, but that's another story. Let's just see. Rachel said Wagner, Robert Wagner. Zuberplex says nothing. He just jumped off the page. Wow, I'm already getting behind, aren't I? Zublik says, T-Pons, did you ever see the Russian version of War and Peace? I have not. I have not. And John says, I wrote a movie I sent to Spielberg. It was called Saying Ryan's Privates. He never wrote back. Robert Wagner is 93. Oh, Cindy says Washington, Denzel Washington won an Oscar. Zublik says, I heard they made a porn version of that. John, you guys are naughty, naughty. And Teb is here, and he says, hello, Thrash. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Hello to you too, Teb. Welcome to the party. Tug says Graveyard of the Fireflies is a rough watch. It certainly is. I actually own a copy. And Geek Culture says a lot of people end up mistaking it for Greek. No worries. Thank you. Very kind of you. And Cindy says the movie on cable with the black women who send all the mail to the troops back with Cade Washington, wonderful movie. Can't think of the name. Neither can I. Gary Garber says Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. That counts. Geek says I watched Graveyard of the Fireflies as a teen and couldn't bring myself to watch it again. I was depressed for like a week. LOL. Oh, Carl, thank you. And I'm caught up. One does never cease. And Christopher says, I love Gettysburg. That's a great one. Zublik says, I saw Graveyard of the Fireflies. A War is Hell. It is an interesting perspective of World War II from the side of the losers. A story that needs to be examined. Very, very too true. Barefoot Gen is another one. Make a great double feature. Again, have 2 bottles of scotch. And there's another one. There's another one that I can't think of that I actually own. But of course, while we're on the subject, see Momotaro and the Fighting Sea Angels. It's considered the first anime ever made, and it's actually a Japanese propaganda film where Momotaro, which basically translates to Peach Jr., he was actually a Japanese folk hero like Tom Thumb. He leads a special forces that are basically anthropomorphic puppies and teddy bears against the ghoul freak brothers like Westerners. It's actually excellent. And John Doe says, did you ever see a movie called Come and See? No, I haven't seen Come and See. I've seen trails and stuff from it, and someday I will watch it, but I have not. It's truly horrific. It looks like it from the trailers. And Indy says there's a few black and white films I can think of with Napoleon in Russia, assuming you mean Talkie. Yes, they were probably from the 40s or 50s, I think. Maybe Conquest from the 1930s or War and Peace from the 50s. Um, Abel Gance also did a solid Napoleon movie in the 20s. Someone told me it sounds like War and Peace, but it's the only one I can find. It isn't that one. So, but he says, but I don't think the Gantz movie makes it in the Russian campaign. It's probably a version of War and Peace, which I haven't seen. But I always remember the scene where they shoot through the ice and plunk. And he says Momotoru, Sacred Sailors? Momotoru and the Sacred Sailors, is that it? Okay. Like I said, I can't remember. Fighting Sea Angels jumped into my head, but I'm sure you were correct in day. And Cindy says it's on Netflix, produced by Tyler Perry. Ooh, I like it already. I like it already. And John Doe says, I'll take the battle for the Planet of the Apes. And Cindy says, Cindy, it's called Hidden Figures. Hidden Figures. Good to know. Good to know. And Mike and Susie are here, and they say, Happy Pre-Memorial Day weekend, Mr. Thresh. Mikey, so good to see you. Welcome to the party. Happy Memorial Day to you, and thank you for your service. Anyone in your family who served, and that goes for anyone else I may have missed. By the way, I said that in the opening, but I want to cover all of my bases. Also, there's 11 of us here in the chat, and only 5 likes. We can do better than that. And while on the subject of comments below, because we still have a few minutes before we're going to do the trivia tonight. Again, The Last of Us game was very well received. And again, if you haven't seen it, apologies to the Netflix series, The Last of Us. Nothing to do with that. Good thing, too. Like the first season, and that's all I'm going to say on that subject. No, The Last of Us is a game I play where what I do is I take a really popular series, and you have to guess what the least popular episode of the very popular series is. And I give you a choice of 4. I did Star Trek, and the answer may have surprised some people, though it wasn't really surprising. But I want to keep it going. I intend to do one for the Fargo series. Tug has suggested the Twilight Zone, and I will do that. And anything else you guys would think would make an excellent, great show, one bad episode, add to the mix, I would endeavor to persevere. And Indy says, given translation limitations, it could be Sailor Angels or Holy Seamen, for all I know. That's probably what happened, because a lot of these have, like, for example, the Lucky Dragon incident, the one that actually was the precursor to the Godzilla franchise. I've seen translated as the Fortunate Dragon, but when you say Fortunate Dragon, people go, yeah. So I say Lucky Dragon, but I believe the more appropriate translation would be the Fortunate Dragon. And I'm sure we all know that story by heart. But thank you for your input. And Cindy says, no, that's not the one. Lance Chaffin, it was a war movie. Hidden Figures is not. Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Lance, for trying. And John says, I know I sent you a few videos of Sabu. I hope it was entertaining. Must confess, I get a bunch of video watches, and I don't always get to all of them. I will go through and try to check those out, John. But thank you for sending them. All the ones of yours I have seen, I find very entertaining. And thank you again. And Rachel says, Kerry Washington wasn't even in Hidden Figures, LOL. Okay, so we've gone off the track, but thank you for playing. We have some lovely parting gifts. And Doug says, the movie you're thinking of is the 688. Hidden Figures is about the Apollo mission. Oh, okay. So the 688. Okay, thank you. And he says, I wish I knew the name of it. Lance. And Christopher says, good evening, Rachel. And Mikey says, I only served 4 weeks in the naval basic training. Just wasn't meant for me. But a former rear admiral told me that my service still counted. I couldn't agree with the admiral more. Thank you, Mikey. I was in Altamont Springs, Florida, summer of '85. Well, you got farther than I did. I tried to enlist during the Grenada operation. I was still in high school, and because of an existing injury I had, they wouldn't take me. I tried, and a lot of people having fellowship with one another. And Tug says, "You're welcome. I was dying to get a chance to say it. LOL." And Cindy says to Christopher that she's good. How are you? And John says Sabu is a wrestler, not an actor. Yeah, I have seen one of the videos you sent me that was wrestling, but I don't think I recall seeing Sabu. And Mike says hello to all, God bless. And he says to Tug, bzzz, Hidden Figures is about the Mercury mission. Ooh, ooh, so close and yet so far, which is what they said. And Cindy says, have you seen it, Geek? It's good. And Teb says, Thrash, would you please consider doing Cheers themed trivia in memory of George Wendt, aka Norm? Ask and you shall receive, my brother. And we'll start those in just a few minutes. Gary says, the high and the mighty. Tug says, ouch. And Rachel says, yes, it is today. And wow, I'm actually still caught up. And we're getting closer. Although I've got to, there's something about these YouTube counts. I don't always trust them. I don't know. And I've talked to others who've had similar problems. My buddy Atomic Snack Bar, his numbers have been all over the place, and others have seen the same thing. And Tug says it was better than he expected. Oh, Len says, where's Tracy at? That's an excellent question. I thought she said she was going to be coming by today. And Junto says, Thrasher, why not do forgotten sci-fi shows of the 70s and 80s? That actually would be an absolutely great show, John. In fact, how about we pencil that in for next week? And I'll try to do a Last of Us from that. I'll take whatever the most popular show I can think of. Although most of the forgotten ones were forgotten for a reason. But you have Fantastic Journey, you have Otherworld, you have others. Oh, Kevin, while you're here, was it the Mooninites, the Solon? There was a British science fiction show that wasn't Doctor Who from the 70s about drama that takes place on a moon base. And again, I rush to say it. It was not Space 1999. This is more of a like a drama, almost like a soap opera, as opposed to Space 1999. Oh, and by the way, apparently they were talking about Space 1999 again on a show I was watching, and the Dragon Domain. That's the one that scarred me as a kid. It's about the giant sea anemone type thing, the space sea anemone, which growls and sucks people in, and it has like a hypnotic thing which can draw you to it, and then the tentacles grab you and it pulls you in and it eats you and it spits out the charred remains. And I saw it when I was 9, and it like scarred me, and I thought I was just being a great big fat baby head. But no, apparently many sci-fi buffs in the UK and America were horribly scarred by this episode of Space 1999. Christopher says, I love The Longest Day. Great movie. Geek says, Platoon is another decent movie. We Were Soldiers is another good one. I love both of those. Mikey says, Hidden Figures was the African-American ladies in the early Mercury space missions who had the knack to figure out transactions and so on. Good film. I saw a story on the History Channel or something about this woman, and she could do like calculations in her head. She was like Sheldon. Cindy says, me too. It was better than I thought as well. Geek says, I want to get y'all on for a stream discussing physical medias versus digital. Thrash Pondo. Count me in. We're connected on Facebook, I believe, right? Send me a Facebook message and we'll discuss deets, but count me in because I I have definitely Hill in that battle. And he says to Tug, sorry, Tug, my um, pedantic tree offers no mercy, nor accepts it. No quarter asked for or granted. Yes, I know. Watching Venus here says, hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. No, you're right on time. I'm about to start the trivia in just a few minutes. Teb says Jupiter Moon is the name of the sci-fi soap opera. Thank you. Thank you, Teb. Excellent. I saw it on the Sci-Fi Channel like 30 years ago, and it was, I think, 20 years old then. And Tug says, I don't want your mercy indeed. I bow to the truth. And he says, maybe Star Lost Bob. No, I have seen Star Lost, though. That's about the generational ship. And it's, again, it was done by Harlan Ellison. And again, it's basically the fugitive set in space where Keir Dullea, who is the main character with his entourage, each week they go to a different biosphere and have different adventures. Good guess, but wrong. That was Canadian. In fact, one of my favorite stories behind that is the Canadian Broadcasting Company had passed this law. Lynn says, Tug, you can't handle the truth. And Cindy says, Forrest Gump is a war movie. Forrest Gump, it does count. It does count. Lieutenant Dan. Um, anyway, the Canadian Broadcasting Company passed a rule that you had to have so many Canadian actors in any Canadian production. And they like scoured Canada looking for actors. And what had happened was all the best actors in Canada had gone to Hollywood to try to get work in American projects. So their agents were on the phone frantically. Will you come back to Canada? I got a part for you. There's an audition here, and come back to Canada. Come back to Canada. It's a great story. That's why anyone you could think of who is a Canadian actor who worked here in the States, you'll see them in it, like John Colicos and any number of others. And Geek says, if you have a decent sound system and want to be blown away by a sci-fi film without Atmos mix, Black Hole is insane. Better sound mix than most modern films. I love the Black Hole. In fact, I was watching a snippet of it. The scene where Bob is dying and says goodbye to Vincent. I like had tears in my eyes when I was 12 when I first saw it. And I'm like, by golly, it's still, you know, is emotional to this day. And so, but yeah, Star Lost. In fact, it was a great idea. It failed and failed terribly. And Geek says, I believe so. If not, Sarah has my info. Excellent. Well, again, if you're on Facebook and we're not friends, send me a friend request and we'll take it from there. But I believe we're connected in Facebook. Danny's here and says, I'm always late. Yes, but could you please drop links for Kevin and Wajamin and Geek Culture and yourself? And you know how this works. And Zublik says, Canada should never make another sci-fi show. You know, The X-Files was a sci-fi show, and that was excellent. And opinion is divided on the Outer Limits reboot around the turn of the century, but folks, there were some excellent episodes of the Outer Limits reboot, and that was Canadian. If you like or dislike the Canadian reboot of Outer Limits, please let me know. And, you know, if you want me to do Outer Limits on The Last of Us, I would be happy to. Lynn says, just stopping by later, guys. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for dropping by, Lance. Have yourself a good one. Moonbase 3. Yes. Okay. Bingo. Yes, that's Moonbase 3. Africa Queen. It takes place in World War One, so that too was a war movie. A lot of people saying goodnight to Lance. Geek says the bass on it hits my sub so hard on the black hole. And he says, love you too. Have a good one, Lance. Oh, that's so sweet of you. And Geek says, I'm still proud of my David Duchovny autograph despite forgetting I had it. LOL. That's very, very, very cool. And Zublik says, that was the show produced by American and filmed in Canada solely for tax credits. It still counts. It was made in Canada. It's Canadian. And Mikey says Full Metal Jacket, epic war film. Definitely an excellent film. And Wajabin says, LOL, That is a cool signature to have. It certainly is. Well, hey, it's 8:01 and I'm actually caught up. Not in my book, Zublix. Okay, opinion is divided, but I see your point, so I will yield it. And how about now we go to the Cheers trivia? And I actually am going to read them in no particular order because I forgot to number them. So I'm going to have to wing it. But anyway, the first one, number 10, is the Cheers pub is based on what actual Boston establishment? Is it A, the Sam Adams, B, the Bullfinch pub, C, the Peter Finch pub, or D, the Black Pussycat Club? I shall repeat. Cindy says, LOL Thrash, I've been binge watching Wings. Oh, yeah. Might come up later. Again, the Cheers pub is based on what actual Boston establishment? Is it A, the Sam Adams, B, the Bullfinch pub, C, the Peter Finch pub, or D, the Black Pussycat? Hugs and heifers. Some more answers coming in, so I'll give it just another few seconds. Although the Peter Finch pub would have been cool. I think we've got everyone. Tug says the Blue Oyster Bar. You know what a Blue Oyster Cult fan I am. I would have definitely called it the Blue Oyster Bar. There would have been those like whatever. What Tug, Indie, someone help me out. I've been a fan of them for 40 years plus. What is the name of that icon they use? The upside down question mark with the three lines going into the dot. And Cindy says you said you were winging it, and Geek says my mom hung out with the Blue Oyster Cult. Oh, I am chartreuse with envy. She met them when she worked at a hotel. That is awesome. And Mickey says, seasons don't fear the reaper, nor do the wind, the sun, and the rain. We can be like that. I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head all night now. And he says, I'm drunk as hell, and I'm not going to drink it anymore. That I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. They're gone now, like beers down the drain. Your turn. And Christopher says, how about some Seinfeld trivia? Bob, I could do Seinfeld. I could also do Seinfeld Last of Us. I should really start writing some of this down. Seinfeld Goldfinger. Number 2, 1, 10, 9. Number 9. Mr. Wentz, I'll come in again. Mr. Wentz' real life wife played what character in the show? Was it A, Cliff's mom, B, Carla's sister, C, Frasier's wife, or D, Norm's wife? And hello, Emily. Welcome to the party. You're just in time to play the last 9 questions of my trivia we're talking about. Cheers. And again, people have been saying my questions have been far too difficult, so I decided, as you can see, there'll at least be a few less than crazy, insanely obscure, only Bob would know questions. I'll take things only I know for 2,000, Alex. Have you seen Brainstorm? I think I have. I don't recall it, but I think I have. Rachel said, we're doing better than I thought. Well, in doubt, just copy off Indy. And Emily says, I know nothing about Cheers, so I'm going to copy everyone else and go deep. Yes. Bernadette Brickland, I believe the actress's name was, played Vera, his wife. And it was a really cute story how they met. They were working together on some other project. But yes, she played his wife. Only on camera once, and you couldn't tell it was her because she had a face full of cake. And Zublik says, you didn't provide the answer to question 10. I didn't? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll do the answers then. The first question 10, it was B, the Bullfinch pub. And 9 was D, Norm's wife. Thank you, Zublex. I hate it when I do that. Oh, and Bernadette Burkett. Thank you. And Geek says, I wouldn't know these, but watched the history of video on YouTube recently. Good. And he says, sorry, Bob, I was recovering from your lack of enjoyment of my great Peter Finch joke and didn't hear the question repeating. It would have been nice. I'm sorry. Did I not repeat it? All right, I will repeat it, even though I already gave the answer. Mr. Went's real life wife played what character? Was it A, Cliff's mom, B, Carla's sister, C, Fraser's wife, or D, Norm's wife? And was that a Peter Finch line about the I'm drunk and I'm not going to drink anymore? There was a bell ringing in my head, but I thought it was my tinnitus. And oh, Francis the Talking Mule, love it. Number 8, presumably. Norm's first line in Cheers was what? A, Sam, B, beer, C, coach, or D, Vera? I shall repeat. Oh, Geek, you need to go. I hope you feel better. Take care of yourself. Oh, of course, network. Network. Yeah, I'm mad as hell, and okay. The pieces are all coming together now. I'm with it. Now I'm with it. I shall repeat. Norm's first line on Cheers was what? A, Sam. B, beer. C, coach, or D, Vera. And I actually put this one in E, Spock. I put this one in because there's a story behind it. I won't keep you in suspenders. The correct answer is actually B, beer. And before he became a regular cast member, that was going to be his sole line. Shelley Long gives this whole story about how she studied to be a proper bartender so she could make drinks properly, and she'd hate to work in a place where all the patrons ever drank was beer. Now, what can I get you guys? And Cliff and Norm just go, beer, beer. And they weren't supposed to. They were added to the permanent cast after that. They were only going to be in that first episode, but when it was conceptualized. But yeah, initially the only thing he was going to say was beer. Emily says, well, I'll be damned. I guess, and I got it right. You are taking names tonight, Miss M. Question 7. Norm's best friend appeared on what game show? This is a tricky one. You have to know who his best friend is, as well as who appeared on what game show. Was it A, Wheel of Fortune, B, Press Your Luck, C, Jeopardy, or D, Love Connection? I shall repeat. Norm's best friend appeared on what game show? Was it A, Wheel of Fortune, B, Press Your Luck, C, Jeopardy, or D, Love Connection? Wasn't B or C? No, C was coach. B was beer. B is in beer, C is in coach. I do that a lot actually. If I can pair the first letter of the selection with the letter, I do that. But if you meant to put beer, then give yourself credit. The fact that you thought it was a different one was I almost knocked my Godzilla over. And Teb actually got both. He said Cliff was on Jeopardy. Yes, it was Cliff, and he was on Jeopardy, and they actually got Alex Trebek to do the episode. And we'll go on now to number 6, and then we'll get scores. Number 6. Sam Mayday Malone played what position, suppose, in the canon of the show, for the Boston Red Sox? Was it A, pitcher, B, catcher, C, shortstop, or D, equipment manager? I shall repeat. Sam Mayday Malone played what position for the Boston Red Sox? Was it A, pitcher, B, catcher, water boy. Very funny. C, shortstop. Or D, equipment manager. You know, when I was in college, the basketball team had an equipment manager. And if that wasn't sad enough, we were the when I was in college, we were the Mohawks. So when the freshman recruits made the team, the tradition was they would all get Mohawks. And the equipment manager insisted that he cut his hair into a mohawk as well. And the players were like, you know, man, you don't have to give yourself a mohawk. He goes, oh no, I want to. I'm part of the team, aren't I? Why am I laughing at this? This is tragic. Oh, I'm a horrible person. Well, I really thought it was funny 40 years ago, but I still think I'm sorry. It's sad. I know I'm a horrible person. I'm sorry. The kid's probably worth $40 million now. He probably invented some new type of software and is now rich. Hey. Anyway, Cindy says I was equipment manager for my track team in high school. LOL. I got a letter as part of the team. You know, okay. When I was on the football team, you had to start. You had to play. You had to play in half the varsity games to get your letter, right? Game 4, I lost. Remember that injury that kept me out of the military? I lost all the cartilage in my right knee. That's why I still limp to this day. Actually, coach didn't give me my letter because I didn't play in half the games. Oh, and I never gave the answer, did I? I'm so busy reminiscing with myself. I like to reminisce with people I've just met, albeit it takes longer. In any event, I'll assure Mickey Rooney. In any event, the correct answer is A. In the canon of the show, Sam was a relief pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. Now, scores. Actually, all kidding aside, I won't mention his name because I don't want, anonymity, privacy, and all that. There's a bar here on Cape Cod, and a guy who had actually played professional baseball for a while owned it, and he actually made a little apartment in the office that was upstairs from the bar, and he used to come down and drink in his pajamas. And one night, he was so drunk, his own bartender had to shut him off, and he goes, "Oh, okay, last call," and it was like 9:30. We went, "What?" He goes, "If I can't drink in my bar, nobody can. We're closed." Oh, good. We got scores. We have City says so sorry, thrashed. Oh no, water under the bridge, water under the bridge. Zublix is 4 out of 4. Is that all there was? Okay, we'll do it 4. What do you mean is 4 out of 5. Rachel is 3 out of 5. Cindy is 4 out of 5. Gary Carpenter is 6 of 10 thus far. John Doe says a quick note: check out Warbirds. It does deal with W2 and plesiosaurs. Well, if you have dinosaurs in World War II, I'm in. Warbirds. I will check it out. What wasn't there one of those alternate histories where a World War II destroyer goes back in time to like an alternate history of the Pleistocene where saurians and ape men are fighting each other? I'm pontificating. Teb is 4 out of 5. Emily is 2 out of 5, probably 2 out of 4, but it would have been 2 out of 5. So anyway, I think we got scores. And let's see how many we got left here. We got 1Z, 2Z, 3Z, 4, 5. That should have been 5. But in the end, we will know. World War II. Yes. It took me a second, by the way. I thought it was Will, and when I have to like look through my little space here, sometimes it's tough. And Gary says dinosaurs in World War II. Land that time forgot. That was World War One. That was World War One. It was a World War One sub. Thank you for playing. But Warbirds, I will definitely check it out. And I do love Land that Time Forgot. I wasn't a big fan of the people that Time Forgot. That one didn't work quite as well. Gary says, sorry, no worries. Mr. Wendt did beer ads for what brewery? And I guess he did for more than one. So of the ones I mentioned here, because I only mentioned one of the ones he actually had for here, was it A. Lowenbrow, B. Black Label, C. Meisterbrow, or D. Pabst Blue Ribbon? Blank Heineken, Pabst Blue Ribbon. I shall repeat. Mr. Wendt did beer ads for what brewery? Was it A. Lowenbrow, B. Black Label, C. Meisterbrow, or D. Pabst Blue Ribbon? Schlitz. I might have to throw this question out. I'll give it another second. John Doe says message retracted. A message retracted to you too, John. Give another secondy wackendy here. You know, I see all but the right answer. Like I said, I may have to rethink this one. Well, I'm going to give the game away then. The correct answer is, in fact, Meisterbrow. But John says, the land that time forgot and the people that time forgot was cool. I love the land that time forgot. For some reason, I did not like the people that time forgot as much. Probably because it was so anticlimactic compared to the first one. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to give too much away. Cindy says free point. Well, the correct answer is Meisterbrow. But if in fact he did ads for Lowenbrow, which I don't recall, and I even before I was 21, I used to drink Lowenbrow when I could get it, but I had one of those oversized mugs too. But if he did ads for Lowenbrow, I will defer. Oh my God, Tracy said, sorry, I forgot. Tracy Bubble, no problem. So glad you could make it. You're just in time for the last couple of trivia questions on Shears. So this would be question 4. Which of these shows is not a spinoff of Cheers? Oh, and Dan, please give Cindy a link. Tracy a link. Oh, she already has a link. Never mind. Which of these shows is not a spinoff of Cheers? Is it A, St. Elsewhere, B, The Tortellis, C, Wings, or D, Frasier? Frasier. I shall repeat. John Doe says the people that time forgot did have the chick from Superman 2. Yes, it did. Now that you mention it, yes, it very good catch. Which of these shows is not a spinoff of Cheers? Is it A, St. Elsewhere, B, The Tortellis, C, Wings, or D, Frasier? Yeah, the correct answer is, in fact, St. Elsewhere. There were crossovers. Carla mentions having her children at St. Elsewhere. Hi, Mrs. Thrash. Ooh, that wasn't a very nice gesture. Someone's in a mood. I believe at least one of the cast members is treated in an episode of St. Elsewhere for this and the other. So while there are crossovers, St. Elsewhere was not a spinoff of Cheers. In fact, I believe St. Elsewhere actually predated Cheers. So the correct answer is A. Oh, and everyone's saying hello to Mrs. Ponce. The biscuits are burning. Wasn't that a song from that Australian band, Midnight Oil? How can we sleep while our biscuits are burning? Number 3. Mr. Wendt did ads for this hotel chain. Let's try this again, huh, kids? Was it A, Holiday Inn, Motel, Hotel, Holiday? B, Best Western. C, Super 8, the chain, not the film. Or D, the Ramada Inn. I shall repeat. And yes, St. Elsewhere did have Howie Mandel. It was one of his first big breakthroughs in the States. He was a stand-up comedian before he did that. He was also on that show Laugh Tracks, which I loved. Mr. Went did ads for this hotel chain. Was it A, Holiday Inn, B, Best Western, C, Super 8, or D, the Ramada Inn? Cindy says, I watched the Norm and Cliff episode of Wings right before Norm. Oh, right before. Oh, that's it. And Gary says, hi there, I'm Mama Thrash and Mrs. Thrash covering the bases. And he says, technically, Wings isn't a spin-off either. It shared creators and cameos from Cheers characters, but it's not an actual spin-off. Oh, you raise a valid point. You raise a valid point. Um, I thought they were part of the same creative universe. I did tell you my aunt and uncle actually knew the gentleman who started Nantucket Air, which was the actual airline that Wings is based on. Jodo says American Pie, the plane. Ooh, and Emily says, so I was right, maybe possibly. Yes, of course you were right. And Cindy says it's considered a spinoff. For the purposes of this game, we're going to call it a spinoff, but Indy might be right. It may not be a true spinoff. But again, it existed in the same universe. Um, but while there were crossovers with St. Elsewhere, it wasn't technically the same universe. But and Indy says they do share the same universe, Bob, but they were created independently. You know what? If you want to give yourself a bonus point, you know what? Go ahead. Go ahead. Technically, Boston does exist, so I suppose. Mercy. The Tortellas was definitely a spinoff because that was about Carla's ex-husband. So, yeah. Moving forward. Oh, and I never gave the answer. I was so busy like debating the Council of Nicaea here. The Ramada Inn, D. He adds for the Ramada Inn. Question 2. Besides accounting, so he had side hustles. Just besides accounting, which of these professions was not a vocation of Norm's? Was it A, painter, B, interior decorator, C, carpenter, or D, beer taster? I shall repeat. Besides accounting, which of these was not Norm's vocation? Was it A, painter, B, interior decorator, C, carpenter, or D, beer taster? Subik says it's like Green Acres on to Petticoat Junction. Very, very well put. Very well put. Why ask why? Have a beer. Why ask why? Bud dry. You know, Rachel says, well, by that logic, half the spinoffs are not true spinoffs. Valid. Indy says, I'm not playing, but I see no reason why everyone else can't enjoy the free point I just labored for. You're right. Everybody give yourself an extra point. We'll call it an indie point. We'll call it the indie point. And thank you, Indy. You are half the fun of this show. And at least half the fun, at least half the fun of the trivia portion. And Gary says to Green Acres, Petticoat Junction. Oh yeah, and the Beverly Hillbillies. Yes, yes. Good point. Good point. And Emily says, Cindy, I meant I wasn't right. Sorry for the confusion. Oh, you're right. That's fine. Be right. And Christopher says, did you ever watch Monk, Bob? I saw it a few times. Mama Thrash loved it. I think it was on against something else I watched, or I was working nights at the time. But anyway, did I repeat the question? Yes, I did. The correct answer is, in fact, C. He was never a carpenter. He was a professional painter. There was one episode where he becomes an interior decorator, and towards the end, he got a job as a beer taster. God, where do you sign up? And the number one question is, as opposed to the New England Patriots, Mr. Went plays a fan of what NFL team? Was it A, the Philadelphia Eagles, B, the Buffalo Bills, C, the Chicago Bears, or D, the Pittsburgh Steelers? And I shall repeat. Now, of course, as you know, Norma's from Boston, so as opposed to being a fan of the New England Patriots, Mr. Went also plays a fan of what NFL team? Is it A, the Philadelphia Eagles? Some of you are even answering it in proper nomenclature. B, the Buffalo Bills, who I'll never bet again on for the rest of my days. 4 Super Bowls in a row I lost. 4 Super Bowls in a row. C, the Chicago Bears, or D, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he says, Emily, watching House deal with people is like looking in a mirror. I'm gonna really, really hope that's Memorial Day fireworks. You guys hear that? Let's hope that's Memorial Day fireworks, okay, kids? I can see now why dogs hate fireworks. Scared the Bee Gees out of me. And I have headphones on. My virgin ears. Entry says from the Hungry Heifer. Oh, yeah, the Hungry Heifer. Yeah, that's where he. I'll do the feeding frenzy for 2. And you? I think he ordered for both of us. And he says, news alert, the zombie apocalypse has begun. And they have machine guns. Zombies with machine guns. Great. You know what? I'm out. And Rachel says to Indy, what about all the shows who introduce a new character solely for the purpose of a spinoff? Yeah. Married with Children tried that on at least 2 occasions. Possibly 3. Actually, I think 3 now, now that I think of it. Do I hear 4? 4, 4, do you 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, right here, 6, right here, 6. And Gary Kemper says, in your dreams, Buster. And John Doe says, it's the Boy Scouts Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. And Emma says, Indy, I haven't left the house but once all week, so I wouldn't have even noticed. And he says to Rachel, a popular cheap shortcut to be sure. I'm still waiting for the Cousin Oliver spinoff. Cousin Oliver, not so much, but there was with Ken Berry was in it. It's they have this friend out of the blue we've never seen before, even heard mentioned, and it's a young couple who can't have children. They adopt a boy, but he misses his friends back in the orphanage, so they adopt the friends as well. And it turns out one of them is black and the other is Asian, and it becomes this whole mixed racial family dynamic that became much popular later on. But it was intended to be a spin-off. It was intended to be a show. It just wasn't picked up. And of course, Gary Seven with Robert Lansing and Terry Garr. That was intended to be a spin-off of Star Trek, even though it was a, shall we say, a backdoor spin-off. But yes, it happens. It's certainly. And Kelly's Kids, very good. Kelly's Kids, yeah. Kelly's Kids was intended to be a weekly series. Classic Video Games is here. Classic Video Games, so good to see you. It says North Pole Penguins. That's a cute trick. Don't tell the polar bears. And Gary Garber says Boot Camp, Dean Martin, and Jerry Lewis. And I never gave the answer to the last question, did I? But you guys already knew it. Yes, the correct answer is Da Bears. Yes, he plays. Actually, I wrote it down here because it's really cute. Bob Sawerski. Bob Sawerski is the character's name, and it's from an SNL bit. He was intended to play it once, but actually did it on a number of occasions. And of course, as Tracy and I were talking, George Wendt is actually from Chicago, so it made it even cuter. But Bob Sawerski and stop bears, and oh now parachute jump, and now the scores are coming in. Tab got 9 out of 10. Gary Carpenter got 8 out of 10. Remember, give yourself an extra point now. Cindy D is 8 for 10. Azurplex is 6 out of 9 because of the first one. I'm anyway. Whichever one you lost, I'm sorry. You know what? Make it 7 out of 10. How's that? What do you mean is 7 out of 10? Oh my God, Michael's Drones is here. Michael, how are you doing, my brother? Good to see you. Unfortunately, we're just wrapping things up here, but so nice for you to stop by. Hello to you too. Everybody, say hello to Michael's Drones. Please, somebody drop a link to Michael Drones. He puts out some great drone footage on his channel. No surprises there. Rachel is 6 out of 10. Not bad for somebody who doesn't know Cheers. Emily was 4 out of 9. I think we're gonna go with that. Tracy says, I will do the replay. Excellent, excellent. And John Doe says, so where to now, Bob? Not very far. I think we're gonna wrap things up a little early tonight. I was gonna watch Mrs. Thrash wanted to watch something later on today, so I think we're gonna call it. But I want to get the rest of the scores and say night to all. Classic Video Games is 0 for 10. He was late. You could always play and replay. My friend. A lot of people saying hi to Mike. And Mike saying hello back. And Tracy. Oh, thank you, Tracy, for dropping the link. And Gary says, I watched The Shadow last night. Oh, excellent. Zubik says, I missed the question 9 because I was telling you because you failed to provide the answer to question 10. Oh, but I gave you I gave you the answers to 9 and 10. Oh well. And but you missed the question because you would. I see what you were saying. I'm sorry. And Teb says Night Thrash. And he says, what you watching, Bob? I'm not sure. She said she was going to pick something out. I think it's a surprise. Well, it has to be a surprise because I don't know. I can tell you one thing though, it's not The Last of Us Part 2. And Gary says, good night, Miss Calabash, wherever you are. And Wajibin says, I hope you are also. And Tracy says, nighters. And and by the way, to those of you who showed up late, again, to everyone who had military family members who were lost to war, thank you for their service. Happy Memorial Day. For those of you who had family members who made it, that still thank them for their service and happy Memorial. And to those of you who actually served yourselves, and I want to thank you all. It means a lot to us. As I'm sure you all know, my father-in-law, who's no longer with us, is a World War II veteran. He was in artillery, served in Europe. And my former son-in-law served in Second Gulf, and he too is not with us. So this day is kind of a big deal to us, and to those of you of whom it's a big deal too as well. I feel for you. I feel for you, and for those of you who served, I thank you. In fact, why don't we all just take a moment, okay? Thank you. And again, I want to thank all you guys for showing up tonight. I look forward to these all week. We'll be doing it again next week. It looks like it's going to be a group project with Sarah and Danny. We're thinking about covering independent movies. We haven't quite nailed that down yet, but it's good. It's going to be fun no matter what we do. And thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate that. Speaking of which, my little granddaughter, his daughter, just had her prom this past weekend, and she was gorgeous. She was absolutely beautiful. Took my breath away. She's become such a young lady. She has become such a young lady, and I think you'd be very, very, very proud. Emily says, I've just had a rough week. Rick, last Sunday. Oh, I'm so sorry, granddaughter in a mental ward. Oh, I'm so sorry again. She's 8. Oh, I'm so sorry, miss. Not a good frame of mind to care about anyone else. Emily, I can't tell you how sorry I am, dear. You have my condolences. I don't know. I can't imagine what you're going through. Please, please, please take care of yourself. Please. I'm so sorry. And yes, condolences to Emily. And we're very, 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 very I am honored you'd make it. Anyone who's having so much trouble and they came to me to maybe like lift their spirits at all, well, me and you guys, obviously. But anyway, that I can't tell you how much that means to me that you still have the strength to come here and see us tonight, Emily. Take care of yourself. Please, seriously, take care of yourself. And I hope everything works out for you. And you know what? To everyone else who's having like a tough, and I know we're all fighting our own battles out there. None of you folks here are having an easy ride. I know that for a fact. I know none of you are having an easy ride. And you still take the time to come out and see little me and chat with little you. And that means a lot. So, whatever battles you guys are facing, whatever battle you guys are fighting, I'm sending positive vibes, which is sadly all I can do. But I wish you all the luck in the world. And let's just see. A lot of people saying how so they are to Emily, as am I. Love you all of you. That's why I'm here. We love you too, Emily. And we all love each and every one of you guys. You guys are. I don't even want to use the word virtual family. It's just, but we have fun. It's like our fun little Sunday night fireside chat, and it means a lot to have you guys all here. Yes, what do you mean says positive vibes all around. And Triple says, that's what you do, T Pawns, and thank you. No, thank you. That actually means a lot. I do try. I try to lift people's spirits with varying degrees of success, but I do try. And I'm so glad you guys took the time out of this Memorial Day weekend, particularly the ones who are having problems, to come and see me. So because thank you, T Pawns, and to all the chatters. I love that, to all the chatters. You guys are aces. I wish I could be there to hug each and every one of you. I can't, but I wish I could. You guys all mean a lot to me. I had a great time tonight. I had an absolutely great time tonight. I am actually in very good spirits now. I'm in very good spirits. I hope I lifted yours a little bit. If I didn't, I'll try harder next week. Have yourself a great what's left of the weekend. It's a long weekend. I hope you have a great rest of the long weekend. Again, I love you all. Be good. Be safe. Be careful. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.